Hey, we got some conversations, comments, concerns, all that good stuff. So let's jump into it. So I heard that from a little birdie that some of you guys are doing pitches soon, and I know how that could be nerve wracking. Trust me. Just to give you a little background on myself, I think 2 years ago did a competition where I got to pitch during startup weekend, and oh, that went by too fast. So some of you guys may know of this little company called Google, right? So Google had reached out to me, and this was during the time I was doing a lot of workforce development work, and they knew I was doing a lot of things in the Black and Brown community. And a representative, had reached out to me and said, "Hey, we got this little thing called Startup Weekend, and what we want to do is we want to promote it in the Black and Brown community because we normally do these events, and all we get is white and Asian people there, and." They had a really big diversity and inclusion initiative going on at that time, so they wanted to get more people of color there. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help promote it and get more people there." And then they told me, like, "Taryell, you should really come into this competition and be a part of it." And at the time, I had not thought of myself as an entrepreneur because I was like, well, I don't know anything about tech and I don't know anything about entrepreneurship. And then the gentleman was saying, yeah, you know more about entrepreneurship than you know, because I he was based in it on my workforce development and putting programs together with the county and the city and some of the other things that I did. And so I want you to imagine for a second, you're in this startup space, like in a startup co-working lab, right? And there's about 170 people there. And what they ask is for people to write down these ideas of things that they've probably thought were good ideas, but they never like acted on them, right? So it couldn't be something that you already set up. And then you vote. We put this big list on the board of all these different ideas, and then you get 5 votes each, and we narrow it down to the top, I don't know, 30. And then you post to create these teams. And after you create these teams, everybody leverages the different skills and what they're interested in working on as far as projects. And you join that team as that's your project that you're going to work on. And then they say you got 72 hours to build this product or thing, right? And at the end, how we're going to determine the winners, you're going to pitch to a bunch of angel investors, like Shark Tank style. And so imagine that. So that's what we went through in 72 hours. And out came this product, Easy Grant, which is now we renamed it to Evo Grant, and we won the startup weekend. So what did we win? We won membership to Downtown Works. We won another pitch to Harris Angels, which is a angel investment firm. Free website design, tickets to startup weekend, 3K in Google Cloud credits, coaching and coffee with some entrepreneurs and angel investors, and some entrepreneurship books. So we got off to a good start. But let me tell you, when I say that there's a process, and sometimes the struggle is real with entrepreneurship. Even though we got off to this great start, we are still in the process of getting to where we need to be 2 years later. And you will have some moments where you're going to still be stressed, right? Because the stress of just trying to get to where you need to be. And I encourage you to not let that stress deter you, but keep going, and keep a group of people that like what you guys have developed here with the rec to keep on encouraging you, inspiring you, and use each other as resources. Now, so today, what I want to do is I want to chat about what makes a great pitch deck. I want to give you a few startup resources that you kind of can use at your disposal, and then talk about how to manage stress during a pitch with investors or a pitch competition, or where you're in the process of really evaluating what your business plan is. And hopefully you can kind of use these tools to kind of de-stress yourself, right? During these times of uncertainty, or just, with everything on your plate that you might be dealing with. So let's define stress. Now, how do you define stress? Let me get some help in the chat box. I want to know how you guys kind of define stress, and who's going to help me out with checking that chat box. to let me know what's in there. Charlie, you in there? Well,
Yes, sir.
what's some of the people saying? How do you guys define stress? How do you guys define it?
Loss of motivation. Too
Loss of
many things.
motivation. Go ahead,
Too
keep
many
going.
things. Not enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Burnout, overwhelmed, restlessness,
Yeah. Okay. Those are some good
anxiety.
ones. Anxiety. Yeah. All those are things that happen when you're stressed out. And there's a number of great things. Anything from like a headache to backaches, heartache, whatever you. A lot of people think that sometimes when they're having a backache or a neck ache is due to maybe they didn't sleep right, but sometimes that could be stress telling your body, hey, we need to change some things, right? So you have to sometimes learn to kind of pay attention to those signs. Now, when you think about stress, is there such thing as good stress? How many of you think there's such thing as good stress? And what would you call good stress when you think about it? Or maybe not having stress. What does it look like to have no stress at all? And then tell me, Charlie, what they're saying in the chat.
We have some yes. We have some good stress.
Well, what would you guys consider good stress?
Drive, happy feelings.
Happy feelings. Okay. Now,
Anyone?
do you think having no stress at all is just good for you? Like not having stress at all is good for you? Let me ask that question. Do we have yeses or nos? What are people saying?
No, yes.
Yes, no. Was it 50-50 or more so yeses than nos?
I'm getting more no. I'm getting a yes, you do need stress, and I'm getting two no. So it's kind of 50-50, yeah.
Kind of 50-50? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you do need some stress. There is such thing as good stress and bad stress. Because if you had no stress at all, an absence of stress can actually lead to kind of boredom and frustration. But what you want to do is you want to have a balance of positive stress, which is ideal. And sometimes stress can often lead us to motivating factors to lead us to that next thing, right? Lead us into action. But being aware of what the stress is that we're actually experiencing. So here's the difference between some different stresses. What do you guys see on this page happening when you look at the different stressors, right? Marriage, right? Marriage, that could be stress, but we wouldn't consider that bad stress. Well, hopefully, if you consider marriage bad stress, then maybe you might want to rethink your relationship and what's going on in your relationship, right? Or getting ready for a presentation, pitch competition, you see there, graduation, right? These are all different things. Or putting the actual pitch deck together. These are all things that can lead up to that stress. And what are some of those causes of stress that you kind of get in your life? Well, actually, you know what? Let's skip that question. How many? I'm gonna ask a different question. How many of you get stressed before before an interview, a big competition, or a speech? How many of you get stressed? And then what are some symptoms or what are some signs that you feel when you feel stressed out? So tell me what they're saying. Like, what are some things that happen? Like, is it sweaty palms, forgetfulness? What are some things that happen to you when you get stressed out? Let's go with that question. And what do we got in the chat, Charlie? What is some people saying? What do they
I
experience?
do. It's an increase in heart rate, stomach stress.
Stomach stress, yeah. All of a
Anyone
sudden,
else? Feeling, let my feelings control me.
your feelings control you. Yeah, and that's important, right?
Forgetting what you wanted to say.
Forgetting what you want to say, right? And that could really have some adverse outcomes and effects on how you present, how you show up, because it's not just what you say. Sometimes it's how you say it too, like and your ability to show confidence in what you're saying, right? Because you could be stressed and you say all the right things, but the way you say it, you don't seem confident. So somebody might look and like, I don't know, they didn't seem too confident about it. I don't know if I want to invest in that business or startup. So it's good to have a healthy balance of the of stress and have a good take on how you're showing up, how the stress is showing up for you, and how to balance and navigate that stress. Now, here's some approaches that you can kind of use. One, you definitely want to have some awareness. There's different breathing techniques that you can do around this, like just taking three short deep breaths, right? Like and taking control of your breath, right? That could that's why meditation and deep relaxation is good for you before you kind of go on stage or before you go into that pitch competition. Because here's what happens. Like, think about the time when you do an interview or a pitch and you get super stressed out. Here's what I see sometimes happens. Like, some people, because I've worked in HR and workforce development for a long time, and some people, when they come in for that interview, they get nervous and they start speaking faster, and because they're breathing from their chest, and they start sounding like Minnie Mouse. And then what happens in that whole thing that you don't see what's happening is your brain, your frontal cortex, where all the cognitive thinking is happening. You're not thinking from there. You're thinking from what we call that lizard brain, the reactionary phase, that the brain that keeps you safe. And sometimes what happens is you start to blurt out stuff that you don't realize you're blurting out. You go on this tangent that you don't realize you're going on, and you try to, by the time you realize you're going on a tangent, you try to bring it back. It doesn't make any sense, right? But you could trick your body into being in a more relaxed state, into the reactive instead of a reactive state, and take those three deep breaths. So it allows oxygen to flow, because there's less oxygen going to your brain when you're breathing from your chest, to be able to make blood go to the front, to cortex, where all that cognitive thinking happens, instead of you going to the reactionary phase of your brain, because you have less oxygen in your brain is thinking, oh, something's wrong, we need to hurry up, making them the fist is protect, and you're not thinking from that frontal cortex. So that's what you're kind of seeing. So here's some other ones that you can kind of do that my personal favorites. Tony Robbins really talks about this when he talks about changing state. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of this. If you Google it or look at some of his talks around changing state, one way you could change state, he says, quickly change a state. Let's say if you walk up a flight of stairs real quickly, if you walk up those flight of stairs real quickly, that can automatically change your state. Because here's what happens. Your body now knows that there's oxygen that needs to go to the heart, the legs, and everything else. If you go for that brisk walk, whether it be outside or up the stairs, and then it changes your whole mental state, where it starts to think of, all right, let me do some deep breathing or breathe deeper so I can make sure oxygen is flowing. And then it takes you out of the mindset, that reactionary mind stress, or set of whatever stressed you out to get you in that stress position in the first place, and allows you to then, once you calm down and you take that breath and change the state you're in, hopefully by then you could come to the situation, back to the situation from a much more calm and less reactionary state, which allows you to then be in a more thoughtful process of going through the situation, whatever that situation is, whether it be that big pitch or speech. Also, Amy Cuddy has an excellent TED Talk around this, and I'm going to share you that TED Talk with you guys right now, the more abbreviated version. But I highly recommend, if you get a chance, go look up the full extended version of this TED Talk, where it talks about some of this research that she did and data around this, around presence, and really showing how you can kind of show up with your best self, more confident, and with the ability to kind of take charge. So let's take a quick look at this TED Talk. Remember, this one I'm showing you is the abbreviated version. So if you get a chance, go ahead and watch the full TED Talk at your leisure after this presentation. So let me go ahead and press play.
I think the volume is pretty low. Yeah, it's still kind of low.
So they can't hear it at all, or?
No, the volume is not working.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to abbreviate most of this for you if I can. All right. So what basically Amy Cuddy is saying in this TED Talk is she's talking about how if you were to go and, let's say if you're going for a pitch competition or interview, you just do one of these for about 2 minutes, right? This will naturally change your body posture and composure and trick your body into having more confidence. Because if you think about when you go into an interview and you're stressed and you're not confident, what we tend to do is we go into this protective state, which tricks our mind into thinking that we're not in a safe place, we're not in a position of power. So we start to do these unconscious things that make us look like we're not confident and we don't have any power and we don't know what we're talking about, right? But the natural composure of just, if you look at somebody who won a competition, right? And let's say they won the competition, and when they hit that finish line, it's something that we all naturally do. We take into this power pose position, and that automatically changes us into this winner mindset, to this I have control, I'm on top of the world kind of mindset. And just doing this posture stance for just 2 minutes could just change everything. And I'm not sure if anybody else can hear that. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Somebody has their.
Excuse
Yeah,
me.
let me see if I can fix this. Everybody make sure to please mute yourselves. It's really distracting when you have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I was like, I know that's not me.
No, thanks. I appreciate you muting yourself. So yeah.
No worries. So that's one thing that we can take away with this whole power pose video, and hopefully you guys get a chance to check it out. I'm sorry I couldn't get the volume to work the way I wanted. Oh, you know what? I just thought of something real quick. I think I know a way to fix this.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
I was thinking you could also maybe send it to me, Taryell, and I could maybe share it, and I can optimize the share.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
I realized I tried this trick last time when we were doing it, so I just have to disconnect my mic real quick.
oh
But
yes.
let me do that, because I got a like a really tech savvy setup over here, so that's probably what's causing it. So give me 1 second.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Offering you a free, no-tech life hack, and all it requires of you is this, that you change your posture for 2 minutes. I became especially interested in nonverbal expressions of power and dominance. And what are nonverbal expressions of power and dominance? Well, so in the animal kingdom, they are about expanding. So you make yourself big, you stretch out, and humans do the same thing. So they do this both when they have power sort of chronically, and also when they're feeling powerful in the moment. So powerful people tend to be, not surprisingly, more assertive and more confident. Physiologically, there also are differences on two key hormones, testosterone, which is the dominance hormone, and cortisol, which is the stress hormone. We decided to bring people into the lab and run a little experiment. And these people...
I think we lost sound.
Minutes, high power poses or low power poses. And I'm just going to show you 5 of the poses, although they took on only 2. This is what happens. They come in, they spit into a vial. We, for 2 minutes, say, you need to do this or this. We then ask them, how powerful do you feel on a series of items? And then we take another saliva sample. Here's what we find on testosterone. From their baseline when they come in, high power people experience about a 20% increase, and low power people experience about a 10% decrease. Here's what you get on cortisol. High power people experience about a 25% decrease, and the low power people experience about a 15% increase. So 2 minutes lead to these hormonal changes that configure your brain to basically be either assertive, confident, and comfortable, or really stress reactive. But the next question, of course, is, can power posing for a few minutes really change your life in meaningful ways? And so what matters and where you want to use this is evaluative situations. We decided that the one that most people could relate to was the job interview. What do you do before you go into a job interview? You do this, right? You're sitting down, you're looking at your notes, you're hunching up, making yourself small, when really what you should be doing maybe is this, like in the bathroom. Okay, so we bring people into a lab and they do either high or low power poses again. They go through a very stressful job interview. It's 5 minutes long. They are being recorded. They're being judged also. We then have these coders look at these tapes, 4 of them. They're blind to the hypothesis. They're blind to the conditions. They have no idea who's been posing in what pose. They end up looking at these sets of tapes and they say, oh, we want to hire these people, all the high power posers. We don't want to hire these people. But what's driving it? It's not about the content of the speech. It's about the presence that they're bringing to the speech. The last thing I'm going to leave you with is this. Tiny tweaks can lead to big changes. Before you go into the next stressful evaluative situation, For 2 minutes, try doing this in the elevator, in a bathroom stall, at your desk behind closed doors. That's what you want to do. Configure your brain to cope the best in that situation. Get your testosterone up, get your cortisol down, and it can significantly change the outcomes of their life. Thank you.
Now,
Hey, Mr. Simmons.
yeah.
Oh yeah. One of the people in the comments asked if you could send that link when you have the chance.
Yeah, I could do that. Did that work better or no?
Yeah, I think so.
Was everybody able to hear it okay? Tell me what people are saying in the chat box so I know if that little trick worked.
Yeah, we could definitely hear it.
Gotcha. Okay. All
Yeah,
right. So
perfect. It was perfect.
all right. So I forget. I just remembered from my last webinar. I was like, oh no, I remember. I found a trick to this, but it was too late. All right. So I just have to unplug my mic. All right. So I will also send that video. Actually, that video is in it's in the pitch deck itself. I put the link there, but I'll send another link to it for you guys to share out at the end of the class. So, all right. So there's some tidbits on stress. Now that we got the stress out the way, let's get down to the pitch deck, right? Now with the pitch deck, what I'm about to show you right now, this is exactly what I used or what was used when I did the pitch competition. So we had mentors that would come in and help us. And one of the mentors, which I'm not sure if they were a representative of Sequoia Capital or if they did pitch competition with Sequoia Capital, but they gave us an outline of this pitch deck, which we kind of used, and we did some tweaks when they gave us the instructions on how we should best put our pitch deck together. So I'm gonna go run through it, and then as you guys have questions, ask them, and then let me know who has questions, and then we'll do some Q&A towards the end as well. All right, so let's take a look at how your format should be set up. Now, this flow part of the slide is only for me to show you the flow of your pitch deck. It's not for you to put a flow section in your pitch deck. Let me make that very clear. So your first deck should have the company purpose, second deck problem, next deck solution, next deck is why now, next deck market size, your next deck or slide competition, product and service, business model, team, and financials. So this should be the flow of how you want to do your pitch deck. And there's a lot of different variations out there. So I don't want you to take this as the one all be all for it. But this is what we used in this pitch competition, and it worked well for us. And it was the format that several other teams that were in this pitch competition used. So there might be some other pitch decks that you see in different competitions that have a slight variance. But I think if you stick with this flow, you should be good to go. So to the right, you'll see the start of what was my pitch deck, the Evo Grant project. And what we really did is talked about how to find your next grant faster, because our product was a SaaS software which had every grant available out there for both nonprofits, small to mid-size, and businesses to help them get funding for their business or their nonprofit. And we went directly into the problems and opportunities, which was, that we know it's a complex application, it's time consuming, lack of commitment, and then it was very expensive to hire grant writers. And when we was looking at the data, we saw how expensive it was to hire grant writers, and it was like anywhere upwards from 40,000 to 80,000, depending on if you want that grant writer on full time. And when you looked at the data of how much money do these grant writers come in, at least for the small to mid size, and it was only a 3% close rate. And we was like, oh wow, I don't know about you, but if I had a cell phone and that cell phone only worked 3%, I would want to get a new cell phone, right? So we realized that when we looked at the whole grant writing system, how old and outdated it was, how technology has evolved and changed, but the system and how we did things has not really evolved with the times of technology and research and everything else that was incumbent around it. So then we went into the company purpose, where we kind of defined the company business as its like what its declaration was, like what were we hoping to provide as a business. And in this, I would say you really want to emphasize your story as a business. And this is where you need to really make sure you add an emotional story to there that gives a reason for people to care, right? At a VC conference, the same VC conference at Startup Week that year, I got to hear a lot of VCs, venture capitalists, talk about this. And they said it's not so much what you do, it's more like why you do it. Because they really invest in the story of the company, right? And if you can really like narrow down on that emotional story of why, right? That really gets people involved and wanting to really see how they can best support your product. And it doesn't have to be something elaborate and super technical. It could be a simple emotional story that connects them back to the product, service, or thing that you offer. What is your why, right? And make sure it's a simple unifying message of what's to come, why you do this, what's to come, and how does it connect to what you're doing. And a good thing that a way that you can do that is, there's a great TED Talk. I'm gonna share a little bit of the TED Talk with you right now, from Simon Sinek, and he has a book about this, Start With Why, and he talks a little bit about this, but I'm not gonna spoil it for you like I did with the last one. I'm gonna go into the video. I'm gonna have to unplug real quick, and we're gonna watch this a 5-minute video. And I know it's 5 minutes, but I really I love how he broke it down, and I wanted to share it with you because I think it's a must for everybody to kind of watch this to understand your why behind your product, service, product, or idea, how important it is to really connect the user, even for you to connect to the why of your product. So let's take a quick look at this video. Here.
I call it the golden circle.
Can everyone hear it good?
Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the
Hey, could you turn it up a little bit more?
They do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process.
That's better.
But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. And that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. When we communicate from the outside in, yes, people can understand vast amounts of complicated information like features and benefits and facts and figures. It just doesn't drive behavior. When we communicate from the inside out, we're talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior, and then we allow people to rationalize it with the tangible things we say and do. This is where gut decisions come from. You know, sometimes you can give somebody all the facts and your figures and they say, I know what all the facts and details say, but it just doesn't feel right. Why would we use that verb? It doesn't feel right, because the part of the brain that controls decision-making doesn't control language. And the best we can muster up is, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. Or sometimes you say you're leading with your heart, or you're leading with your soul. Well, I hate to break it to you, those aren't other body parts controlling your behavior. It's all happening here in your limbic brain, the part of the brain that controls decision-making and not language. But if you don't know why you do what you do, and people respond to why you do what you do, then how will you ever get people to vote for you or buy something from you, or more importantly, be loyal?
All right, hold on while I switch mics. Was everybody able to hear that okay? Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can everyone else hear him?
All right, testing 1, 2, 3. So how'd you guys like that video? Hopefully you guys liked it. How many of you guys buy Apple products? Who in here buys Apple products and can resonate with that?
Strictly.
There, strictly, see? So now you're probably thinking to yourself like, Taryell, okay, well, how do I do that? How do I do that so people could invest in me because of why I do it, why I am what I bring to the table? So here's the thing. You want to really focus on a persona. So that's what really helped us in winning the competition. We use the persona. So when we described the pain point of the customer, we outlined the persona. So we gave them a story about this gentleman who had this nonprofit. And in this nonprofit, they were really set on saving lives and changing lives through what they were doing, right? Because it's my firm belief, if you're in a nonprofit, you're either doing one of two things. You're either saving lives or changing lives, because that's the whole existence of your nonprofit. And before they could do this, or in order for them to do this better, they really had this pain point of getting more funding so that they can help more people and save more people. But that's what was holding them back. And they also, this person also had a pain point story of why they wanted to do what they do. And it was personal, right? For them, it was personal. And then for us as a company, it was personal because we were on the ground. I've often worked with different nonprofits to help the community he's also trying to serve. And I've also been a part of nonprofits that helped me out in my life. So it was personal to me. And so through that persona, that why, they resonated with that story and they became attached to that story. And they can also feel the pain of those pain points of wanting to help somebody, wanting to save a life, wanting to change a life. So the problem became very instinctively clear for the people who were watching our pitch deck. So you want to have a persona that really allows to speak to those pain points and take whoever is looking at your pitch deck on this journey. Don't just put out a bunch of facts. Take them on a journey, right? And then from that problem, you take them to the solution, right? And it's good to have the facts and figures around solution, but you want to take the persona back into the solution. How did that persona, whether your product is going to save money, whether it's going to help that nonprofit save lives or change lives, what provide some cases and some stories about where their pain point, where the hiccup was, and where your problem or where your solution lies for that person to get them from point A to B. For us, it was this Evo Grant software. A lot of the things that we heard over and over is like, man, Taryell, this thing that you guys are talking about, there's a lot of different things we were talking about with providing services for the nonprofits, but the one that really stood out for people, something as simple as like, hey, if we got your information and data, we can automatically match you through this AI with grants that fit you particularly. So you don't have to waste your time searching all over the internet for these grants. And people said, man, if you can produce some type of software AI and you could match me with just at least 5 grants that really fit me a month, I would gladly pay some money. And I'm like, well, what would you pay for that? I would pay $100 a month for that. Whoa, really? Wow. And then that's where the conversation started to begin, right? And when you come up with a solution, people always pay for solutions, right? And I don't care what your product is. If you have a true solution, people will pay for that solution. And you have to make sure you're doing your market research correct to make sure that you really have a solution that's going to really fit the unique pain point of the customers that you're trying to serve. Sometimes we go down this path where we try to really fit too many solutions for everybody, like a one shoe fits all, but you really have to narrow it down to your customer, the people you're trying to serve, and making sure that you're serving the pain points of what they need in their solution. So that solution. Now, when we're talking about why now, right? Because sometimes you'll hear on Shark Tank like, well, why now? Why you, right? This is when you really want to look at what's been going on in the market. Has it not evolved, right? What technology has not done, or services that have not been provided that are not reliable, and on both sides. And you don't really dive into the market size from here. You're just giving you the overall story to the audience of what a person would usually do, and then when they try to look for the solution, where it falls off at through the market research and the current state of market. And then from there you jump into the market size, like looking at your competitive analysis of who's already out there in the space that kind of sort of does what you do. So you can take some of the data of what they're doing and mix it with the data of what you want to do. Because trust me, there's a customer or there's something out there that's doing something similar or has some data that you can kind of use on how they do things that may be similar to what you're trying to do. And if you can find that, that's going to help you a lot with determining your market size and really looking at the structure of your marketing and where you should go with your products or your service or the thing that you're trying to create. So these are just a couple of things to kind of take into consideration. For us, we took, now there's more than just Guy Star and Instrumental, but for us at the time of the pitch competition, these were the two that were being used. And what we found in our competitive analysis of looking at both of these tools, some that nonprofits use, some that foundations use, that Instrumental was only doing grants around research. And so they didn't really have a robust platform. GuideStar, everybody uses that to kind of see and search what grants and foundations are out there, but there wasn't really a robust tool that allowed you to kind of find the grants. You would have to go to the website of who the individual is giving money and then search on their website for where the money was at or what type of money that they were giving out that year. And it wasn't being updated fast enough for people to really know what was being funded. So some of the things that we found even more so as we dive deeper into the market research. So that's what you're looking at when you talk about your market size. Also, look at your list of competitors. And when you're looking at your list of competitors, you want to have them all in a data sheet somewhere where you can just kind of see what their competitive advantages are, and what your competitive advantages are, right? One thing that we found out when we were building the software, we realized is that not only was this a tool that we could use for individuals looking for grants, but we could use this actually as a tool for grant writers and for the foundations, because we found that foundations were often complaining like, oh, I can't really find, you know, the individuals I'm looking for this grant or to give out this funding, because they have to give out this funding. And what sometimes you find is applications take a longer time to find candidates for that funding, or they may shift to a different market or funding strategy because they couldn't find the right candidate for it, when we know that there has to be a candidate out there somewhere. So we would be able to find a solution for three different providers in us doing the research of looking at all our competitors. So this stage can do a lot of different things for you if done right. So make sure you really write down all, even if they only focused on one aspect of what your business can be, write that competitor down and see what they're doing and see how that can be implemented, or what you can learn as far as a business strategy, and implement it in your product or service. Now, speaking of product and service, here's the part of where you want to talk about a little bit more about how you're doing it, whether you're using, for us, it was a SaaS software. For you, it might be education, might be coaching. It may be improving the functionality of something. And then also keep in mind of the things of like intellectual property, because these are key things that investors like. Like if you have a patent on something, that means that you're the only person that's going to have this. Copyrights, trademarks, these are other things that kind of make investors get that saliva around the mouth when you smell bacon or pastries or whatever, for lack of better terms, because they look at, okay, there's two ways where I can recoup my money off of this. If it's not from the service itself, I can really do it in this trademark or copyright or patents. So you have two financial ways that you're gonna derive income into this entity or property or this thing that you're doing. And so really think about all three of these phases when you talk about your product and service, if they all apply to you, and try to apply as many of these things that really benefit your product service, and outline them and how that they could be a benefit to whoever's investing or coming in on the project. Then we got your development roadmap. And for us, this is not the one that we use, but this is an outline. And we kind of looked at in our beginning stage what we wanted to really do with it was in that year one, really kind of do a lot of beta testing and get users on board to really make sure that it's working properly and we're implementing everything that the users want to see. Our year two was more so getting out to the market, making expanding the market from outside just San Diego and getting more worldwide. And then three, really solidifying, making this like a household name, like you would Google. Like, remember when Google became a household name where it became a verb, like, oh, Google me, or any you want information, Google it, right? Maybe Evo Grant, anytime you want anything around grants, check Evo Grant it, right? Making sure it's like a household name. So that's what we were kind of looking at when we were looking at the development phases of our products. And then you can look at your development roadmap as something similar. Like what needs, when you look at the beginning phases, making sure that you have an MVP first, a minimal viable product, and then how do you can expand on that minimal viable product and really fine tune it to make it more robust or better, or whatever the thing is that you're trying to do. Then next we have your business model. And in the business model, a couple things you'll be looking at is your revenue model, your pricing, average account size, lifetime value of a customer. And some of these things, you might have, if it's a pitch competition and you haven't launched a product yet, some of these things you might take with a grain of salt. You're going to have to kind of guesstimate some of the pricing on some of this stuff. So don't get too bogged down in the numbers if it's the first time that you've started this business. But have some round figures of what you think that cost acquisition would be, the sales and distribution model and customer pipeline, and you can use other business models to kind of piggyback off what they've been doing to say, or based on this company, this is what we project and what we forecast within our business model. And so I can say most of ours was a guesstimate because we only had 72 hours and we didn't have any exact numbers to really base it off of. So when we put those figures, and we stayed away from mostly numbers, we used mostly, well, I'm going to say we stayed away from numbers. We stayed from exact numbers. We gave like ballpark figures of what we saw from other companies. And then lastly, I would say the team. So this is also very important. The team aspect is so important. From the VCs that I got to listen to at the conference of Startup Week, a lot of VCs buy into the team, meaning your founders, management, board of directors, board of advisors, because if they look at the team and they believe in the team, they're more likely to, even if the numbers don't all match, if they have strong confidence in the team, they're willing to put their money towards that team. But if you have a team that they kind of like, you guys are not getting along, there's communication issues, or they don't have a positive feeling about the team cohesiveness and the strategy of the team, then no matter how good your product is, some VCs shy away from investing in a dysfunctional team or a team that they don't seem as cohesive and all as passionate or all in on the project, right? So this is very important. And this is a lesson that I learned the hard way, just because we had team members that were halfway in, halfway out. Myself, I was working a full-time job and doing the project. And so they were like, well, how can we know that we're going to have a dedicated team on this project? And so these are some things that I had to address, which caused us to stall on our project. So I take it from me when I say this is very, very, very important, having a good, cohesive, and dedicated team, a team that not only you believe in, but you believe in it so much that your investors or whoever you come to is going to believe in that team. They know that you guys are going to get it off the ground no matter what. Like nothing's going to stop you. And last but not least, financials. So I wouldn't show this in your pitch competition. I would leave this as a deck for if the angel investors or whoever is doing the competition ask you about it, then you bring this up and you start to talk about some of those numbers, because some of you might not have numbers or really good numbers to kind of convince somebody to invest. And those of you who do, still leave it to the end, because you might sell somebody over the project before they even see the financials, and in the financials you can iron out later in a private one-on-one when they call you to the office to say, hey, let's come back down, let's talk numbers at the office, right? But if they ask for it then you can go into the numbers then, but save that as like the bonus slide, right? Now here's some tips and tricks that I'm going to give you guys that kind of help me along the way. Let's say if this is your first time building out a company, logo, design, everything, website, all that stuff forth. I was able to use Taylor Brands, and Taylor Brands has an amazing pitch deck that you can use after you use them to get to your logo and so forth. It's not free, and they secure the website for you, business cards, everything you could think of to get the original business setup that you need to kind of kick off your business. And I want to say it was around $70 to get and you get the hard copies of the PDFs, the VGC files, everything. And they even secure a website, domain, and everything for you. It's all included. And you can create a nice simplistic logo. So if you need help on that, or want to take advantage, check out this as a resource. I don't have any affiliation with them, but I just thought it was a great resource that I had to stumble across, and I kind of used in one of my other companies once I found it. So that's a good tool. Another must tool that I say is good for every business is Live Plan. And this This tool can be used throughout the whole entire life cycle of your business, from putting the business plan together to putting the pitch deck together, also implementing your financials, putting your team in play. And then eventually when you start to do the business, you can link this to your QuickBooks, and it helps to calculate the data with your forecast to make sure you're on cue to where you're supposed to be. And if you're not, it gives you suggestions on top of that. And LifePlan has a lot of great webinars too that you can kind of use as towards free webinars. And they're from a company up north in the Bay Area. They do a lot of different startups, or help a lot of different startups. And I highly suggest that if you can afford it, it's expensive, but if you can afford it, put it into your budget. I believe it's like around 100 and something a year to put each business that you kind of create through the life plan. So look at the different pricing. I'm not sure if they have student pricing. Maybe they do. I don't have any affiliation with them as well, but thought these were great tools that I can kind of give to you guys.
Can I jump in there just for a second, Taryell?
Go ahead.
For the live plan, they do have student pricing. I know the founders, and I'm happy to put you in touch with them if you'd like to do that. It's about half the cost. Sweet.
So take advantage of that. And I'm telling you, and even VCs like that you have a live plan, because they'll say share your live plan deck with me, and they know what that is already. So you'll be ahead of the game if you can do that, and it'll save you a lot of stress too, going back and forth with any venture capitalists or anybody who wants to invest, because you could just share that deck with them, and they can give you suggestions, and then it makes the whole process real easy. And I'll leave you with a quote from my favorite basketball player of all time. I'm not sure if you guys know this gentleman by the name of Michael Jordan. He says, "I can accept failure, but I can't accept not trying." And let me tell you, the most thing I tell most people when they come to me for ideas coaching or just the riff, I say, look, hurry up and get to the failure. The failure is going to get you to the next part of your plan and success. Sometimes we tiptoe around the failure, or we like, oh, I can't do it yet, so this is perfect. But the sooner you get to failure, the sooner you're going to get to your success. And I say that to say, all that to say is, hurry up and fail faster in your business so that you can benefit the rewards of the success that comes out of it. Because that's where the success really lies, when you can, I tried that didn't work, let's try this now, right? And that's it for my presentation today. Thank you guys so much. If you have questions, comments, or concerns after this, you could, we can open up mics now and have questions and concerns, but in the future, feel free to follow me. Hit me up at sagesandiego.com or email me at Taryell@sagesandiego.com. And I realized I just had a typo there, but it's sagesandiego.com.
Oh, there's an O missing. Yeah, Sage.
There's an O.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Thanks. Wow, you write with a minute to spare, right? A minute to spare. Good. Excellent job there, Taryell.
Thank you.
Yeah, talk about timing. So, Charlie, I'll let you let us know if there's anything in the chat.
Yes. Before we get to any questions, can everyone please fill out this survey for the rec, please, if you don't mind? It'll help not just the rec, but the presenter as well, to know what we can do better as a whole. But I appreciate you all, and thank you so much.
No problem.
Start with the questions.
I know it was a lot in 50 minutes, but whatever question, comments, go ahead, open up the mics, open up cameras. Love to hear what you guys have to say.
I can start with the questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let me just go.
Oh, I think so, Brianne. I think Charlie's actually been going along with those questions.
I was gonna do it at the end, but
Oh, okay.
I don't have to.
Charlie, did you cover most of them? I thought you had.
Oh yeah, no, I did, but
Yeah.
they, like we had me and Brian, we had talked about it during the chat. Like at the end, I was gonna let her take over if anyone had it.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. See, that's teamwork there.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Exactly.
Awesome. So yeah, Brianne, did you have anything you wanted to, any questions that you saw in there that you wanted to ask Taryell?
I can't even see the chat box. I don't
All
know.
right, don't worry about it. It looks like we're all caught up there. So anybody in the audience, any questions?
Feel free.
So if you want to unmute yourself.
I have to go to a meeting now, but I just wanted to say thank you. And the presentation and the workshop was fantastic. So
Thank you.
thank you so much. Take care,
Thanks,
guys.
Karen. It was good to see you. We'll see you again soon.
See you later, Karen.
Bye. Any other questions?
All right, everyone just can like ask questions now. I guess like turn your mic on and
Thanks, Brianne.
answer.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Or comments. I'll take comments too.
Yeah. Right. Shower on the praise. Why not? Why not? Why not? All right. So,
Any questions? And then after the questions, we can take a quick photo.
oh, thank you for reminding me. Okay. So what Brianna was reminding me about, I love to take a photo at the end of these. So if everybody could turn on their microphones, I will, I'm going to actually have you.
Did you want us to turn the cameras on?
You can go ahead and turn on, I'm sorry, not your microphone, your camera. That would be wonderful. You can turn on your cameras. Not the microphones are great too, but looks like most people are here. Great. Hi, Lucas. Hi, Tarlise. See, this way I get to see everybody who's here. I get to see everybody. Hi. Oh, great. And I see some new faces too. Isaac, you look great. Your hair's fine. So great. A couple more people if we can get the cameras turned on. Great. Wonderful. I might have to take a couple of pictures because we have so many people here. So 3, 2, 1, and smile. Great. And now I'm going to take one more on the next page. And 3, 2, 1, and smile. Great. Wonderful. So Taryell, did you want to take us out? You want to kind of end the conversation for the day?
Well, I would say congratulations on your journey as you guys go into entrepreneurship. For me, my journey was accidental, right? I was talking to what's his name again? Charlie earlier. I'm a humble young man from the hood of Washington, D.C. And I would say I never really thought I could be an entrepreneur. I always looked at, doing the regular 9 to 5. And after winning this competition, so many doors have opened up for me. And I'm really, really, really blessed to have so many people come into my life and help me to the next stage of entrepreneurship. So I remember being in college like you guys and people telling me that, oh, you need to pick a career. You need to stick to one career, pick a major, and pick something that makes money, right? How many guys have heard of this? Let me raise your hand if you ever heard of this, right? Anybody else have heard of this? Yeah. So, and my family is from Nigerian roots. So that they was, education was, you're going to get an education, you're going to get a degree and get a degree that makes money. And I remember my best friend who's Filipino, his mom was the same way. He was like, look, you're going to go to school, you're going to become a nurse, right? Because nurses make money. And that's the rhetoric that I kind of took. And then I went into the workforce. And then I remember my first corporate job, and I was on that track to hit manager, and I remember just hating life, right? And it was sucking my soul, literally. And I went into workforce development, and I found that being in HR and workforce development, that it was literally the same thing for tons and tons of people, where we go into these careers, even if it makes money. Here's 2 things that happen to you. Either you disconnect from the job, or the job disconnects from you because you're no longer the right person to do it, right? Because you got fed into this belief that, I should be doing this to make money. But I'm here to tell you, don't do that. I learned the hard way. If I could give you one thing to do, whether it be in your career or start your business, is 1, do what you love and love what you do. Let me say that again. Do what you love and love what you do. Don't chase the money. Let the money chase you.
Yes.
And here's what I mean by that. As soon as I started really working in that zone of doing what I love and loving what I do, that's when all the checks and opportunities started to come up. I remember the first time the mayor's office asked me, or somebody, I can't remember who it was, how much would it cost for you to come speak, Taryell? I was like, what? People get paid to come speak? And I was like, I don't know. And I gave him a number. And then they're like, oh, that's it. I was like, what? You would have paid more?
I take it back. I take it back.
I take it back. Let me add another zero to that thing, right? So I encourage you, whatever, if you have a goal, a dream, something that you really want to accomplish in this lifetime, go out and do it. Because if this young man from the hood of Washington, D.C. can come out and start speaking and collecting checks and building a business, if I can do it, you can too. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Make meaning first and the money will follow. Yes. Thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Bye. So, yep, I will see all of you again very soon. Best of luck to you in your pitches. I am so excited to watch them. And Taryell, will you be there for the pitches?
I'll do my best. Send me the dates. Let me see what's on my schedule.
I'll send you the dates and we'll connect with you about the podcasts also. So,
awesome. Will do.
All right. Thanks. Bye, everyone. We will see you all again soon. Thank you so much for being here.